Hi.
Hello.
Hello. What's going on?
At the moment, not much. Just what did we do today? We talked about Tucker Carlson. We haven't talked about AOC's dress, which apparently is news for some reason. We
Hmm.
talked about
Norm?
some polling data that was released recently about Trump supporters. We talked about a few things today. We had a
Oh.
lot of topics to
I
talk
saw
about.
on Twitter you like Norm, huh?
I love Norm Macdonald. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fucking weird. A year ago there was another comic that was in going to see the Joker, and
Uh huh.
like somebody kept cackling behind them, and then when they turned the lights on, it was Norm, and they got a picture with him, and he looked like death warmed over. And we did a clip called like "Is Norm Macdonald dying?" When COVID, when the town opened up, he didn't show up. Everyone else showed up except for him, and I was like, kind of suspicious, but yeah, it's fucked
Well,
up.
yeah, from what other reports are saying is that basically he wanted to keep his addiction private. He didn't want it to be a
Cancer,
public.
cancer is
Yeah,
cancer.
not his. Yeah, sorry, I got my head mixed up. He
Hmm.
wanted to keep his cancer private because he didn't want it to be like a public battle, quote
Yeah, he
unquote.
talked about it. He talked about how much he admired Richard Farnsworth, who had cancer when he
Hmm.
was nominated for an Oscar and never mentioned it to anybody. He just died. So
Yeah,
that's why we were talking. That's what we were talking about on that clip last year. We were going like, if he's sick, we'll never find out till he's dead. So
true.
yeah,
Yeah, and that seems to be the case.
I saw him at South Point though. That was dope.
Yeah, he's my favorite comedian, so
He's
this
my
is
favorite
like a
comedian.
huge bummer for me.
He's my favorite comedian too.
Yeah. Well, we set up this conversation because you've had a few disagreements with me on multiple issues.
I think it was just the voter suppression thing. I think the addiction thing might have just been a misunderstanding because I thought you were
Um,
trolling. You know how have you ever seen people like when somebody dies of like drug addiction or drunken driving, they always say something kind of like judgmental.
yeah. No, I wasn't trolling.
Yeah, I know.
What happened?
I think I misunderstood you.
Yeah, nah. My mom was a heroin addict,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about all the harm that caused in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking about the fact that she could have done everything she could have to get off. She ended up dying, but what I ultimately just wanted was an apology due to the harm that she ended up causing the family, and
Yeah.
especially like robbing me of a lot of experiences that I think that she should have been there for and have done a better job of being there as a parent.
I can understand that. I always, in my mind, I always think of it in terms of like a disability, but I mean, I can understand why some was, you
Can
have a
I
relative.
ask you about one of these though?
What? Which one?
That's funny. You expect personal responsibility from addicts. You hold a higher standard for them than you do yourself.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I was talking about the voter suppression thing.
Okay. What about that?
Well, listen, you could cherry pick one aspect of that particular case to call it a conspiracy theory. But once that starts spreading around where that's a conspiracy theory, and some of the stuff that I talked to with some of your fans, they bought into it, and they're still buying into it. And whenever they want to sit there and say that election wasn't stolen, that's what they bring up. They bring up the butterfly ballots. I don't think when it comes to you or Destiny or these other guys that your fans are checking on their own. I think they're literally just taking your word for it. So if you like pick this butterfly ballot and you don't talk about, felon voter purges, they're not going to know about it. And I think that there's a certain level of responsibility you guys have, sure.
So when I made that video, it was specifically to do with the fact that for whatever reason, Vosh had gotten caught up on the idea of butterfly ballots
Well,
and of that being of
I think he
yes.
got ambushed. I don't think he expected that. I didn't expect that. I wouldn't. I've never heard anyone say that before.
Well,
That the
he
election wasn't
said
stolen.
a position that was quite ridiculous. I think the reaction was appropriate.
Well, the position was that George W. Bush behaved in an anti-democratic manner. That's a
Well, yeah,
standard. That's
Okay, let's
standard.
say I told you that Trump was a racist, and then I said he likes bananas. You'd be like, "Well, okay, I agree with the premise, but the supporting evidence is ridiculous."
Hmm.
And so I agree with the premise that the Republican Party of the forever basically has been anti-democratic in many nature, whether it has to do with voter ID laws and other things. But the supporting evidence that Vosh brought up tilted on conspiracy theory, most certainly, when it came to trying to measure the intent of the person who designed the butterfly ballots to support George W. Bush in the
Hmm.
Florida election. The amount of pre-planning and precision that would have needed to be known that this person who was a Democrat was somehow convinced to work against their own party in designing the butterfly ballots in a way, even though they had a proper explanation when they talked about them trying to deal with the vision issues of elderly people, and she designed it specifically to assess George W. Bush and his election chances for whatever unexplained reason. And so I think using that as supporting evidence and just kind of being like, well, why did they? That is conspiracy. They are
Well,
alleging a conspiracy. He
not
was a conspiracy
if
theorist.
you're looking at a pattern of conduct and somebody just pointed. I mean, it was the wrong one to pick out of you know supposedly hacked voting machines, the butterfly ballot, the felon purge. The smoking gun is in the felon purge, and that's what he should have did. But I don't think he was prepared for that. And what I was suggesting is, well, you could go like, if somebody said Trump isn't a racist because he likes bananas, you can go, no, Trump's not a racist because he likes bananas. Trump's a racist because he believes he believes that immigrants ruin America or whatever. I mean, that's what I'm
Well,
talking
the,
about.
well, the problem is that Vosh has a massive platform. I think you would agree with that, right?
Yeah, I think Vouch should have done
And
it too.
much bigger than mine. I
Yeah.
mean, I have a decent sized platform, right? I reach, if I think about my analytics on YouTube, like 300,000 to a million is like the wild range that I got,
How
right,
much
on
is your
YouTube.
Twitch? How much is your Twitch?
My Twitch, I'd actually have to check right now, but it's actually less than my YouTube.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Um, it is less than my YouTube, but it's still like a substantial amount of people, but it's not nearly anything that Vosh touches, right?
Okay.
And so if somebody who is quite a large voice starts making bag arguments and is perpetuating a conspiracy theory, the title of the video was just Vosh is a conspiracy theorist. The thumbnail was him wearing a tinfoil hat.
But that's
We didn't advertise the video in any way as a let's discuss the 2000 election.
you should
It was
have.
specifically me. Well, no, but I didn't want to talk specifically about the 2000 election as in let's do a long form study. It was, hey, here is a very large creator saying something that was wrong
Hmm.
and proposing a conspiracy where one does not exist, engaging in conspiracy theory.
Okay.
That's not good, and it should be called out. That
Okay.
was the purpose of the video.
Speaking of conspiracy theories, don't let me forget to ask about the Pearl Jam thing. But um,
Okay.
I think as a whole, though, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. If you were talking about, if he goes like, their behavior was anti-democratic, and then you look at, I mean, seriously, if you look into that felon purge, there was a lawsuit from the NAACP toward the state of Florida, and the state of Florida, while they didn't admit guilt, because you don't do that in a settlement, they did promise to address all of the issues that they were being sued for, which to me is tantamount to a guilty plea. So, I
So,
mean, the 12,000 votes were removed from the voter rolls. And that was planned. They have a smoking gun, and that is linked to the Bush campaign. And
so again, like this, that's all pertinent information. If you were making a video primarily about, hey, let's talk about the nuances of that specific election, right?
yeah,
And I do think we did get a little bit into the nuances of Bush and how do we use the word fascism, and I don't think I even ended up agreeing with Vosh's general premise of throwing that label at Bush, but that's because I feel that the word fascist, I guess I just have a different standard for the use of that word. I'd call him a reactionary, I'd call him far right, I'd call him a war hawk, I'd call him many things. But
yeah.
when it comes to that, he did engage in conspiracy theory for this and this reason only. He alleged that Theresa Lepore, the former supervisor of elections for Palm Beach County, engaged in a conspiracy in the
Mm-hmm.
designing of the ballots to favor the Bush campaign. That is
Yeah.
a conspiracy. If we had evidence of a supervisor of elections specifically designing a ballot to benefit one side of an election, that is conspiracy. That's grounds for conspiracy.
Okay,
So
but
he was, by making that allegation with basically zero evidence, engaging in the perpetuation of a falsehood and conspiracy theory.
mm-hmm. But we
And
do.
it was a weird thing to get caught up on.
Yeah, I know it was, but I'm not defending that. But the thing is we do have evidence of the counsel to the election board contacting this company Database Technologies and telling them we don't care. We want that when they tell Database Technologies telling them this is only 70%. These felon lists are only 70% accurate, and then the lawyer saying no, that's the way we want it. And he had to answer to Catherine Harris, who was co-chair of the Bush campaign. Now, I'm just saying how at what point does the own take precedent over the information? You know what I mean?
What do you mean the
You're probably not as guilty as this is Destiny. So I'm probably just getting annoyed by the actual panel. But the wanting to own this guy so bad that they're willing to neglect to inform their audiences in the process.
I was mostly just frustrated with how Vosh was performing.
Yeah, and that's probably, and like your frustration was probably my temptation to do the React video because, it's a comedy show and we look for that stuff. So, so so I wouldn't take it too personally.
Okay.
But anyways, so who's your favorite musician? Norm Macdonald's your favorite. Who's your favorite musician?
Frank Zappa.
Okay, Boomer.
Yeah, like I have basically all of his
My
records.
stepdad's favorite. My stepdad's favorite musician. Frank Zappa's cool, but my stepdad's favorite musician is Frank Zappa. So there's no way that this is an age thing that you've never heard of Pearl Jam.
Well, the thing is, I know I don't know many band names generally.
Okay.
I hear a song and I'll remember a song. I know what that sounds like, but I won't remember the band name. But there's a lot of I'm not that into music.
Oh, okay.
I remember messaging Anthony Fantano and being like, "Hey, here's a song that I like. Is there any other music out there like this?" I don't know. Like, if I like music, I know for example, I'm not a big movie buff, but I love Clint Eastwood movies.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So I've watched basically everything he's done because I love Clint Eastwood movies. But if you would have asked me, I haven't seen a single Avengers movie. I haven't seen a single whatever random superhero or.
Yeah, I don't.
I haven't seen Lord of the Rings. I think I've seen one Star Wars movie.
Oh, okay.
And I forgot everything about it.
Yeah.
So,
we were debating whether or not my co-host thinks that was sincere, and I was like, he's just trying to annoy me for being old. So we were debating over whether or not if you sincerely never heard of Pearl Jam.
Yeah, it's like the Wire guy, right? I didn't know he died.
Oh yeah,
I didn't watch the Wire.
Yeah, but you're from Baltimore, right?
No, I'm not from Baltimore.
I thought you lived in Baltimore.
No, I live in Prince George's County.
Is that in Baltimore?
No, that's the other direction of Maryland.
Oh, okay. All right, that's a Baltimore show.
I live in the DMV. I live near DC.
Okay. All right. Well,
but yeah, I'm familiar of the existence of The Wire. I'm not familiar with all of its actors.
Okay, well, because they talk funny. They talk like they're from Baltimore, and they're from Baltimore. But I wouldn't know what Baltimore people sounded like if I hadn't seen that show. But all right, well then I guess. Anyways, yeah, I just really wanted that.
Can I ask you a question though?
Sure.
Do you think that the tweet though that's funny? You expect personal responsibility from addicts, and then trying to use my conversation about Vosh, about drug use, jamming that in there might have been a little too far there.
Yeah, I apologize if I was harsh. I thought I was light on you in that first video, though.
Yeah, I went pretty hard on you about your lighting, man. You need to do something about that.
I disagree. Did you watch the second one, the follow-up, when we roasted you?
And now one of your guys are my emotes, actually, in chat. your friend is an emote because he looks like a serial killer too by the end of it because you decide to make the video.
Dude, don't
right.
call people bald who look. I compared you to Eddie Vedder.
Can we look?
I compared you to Eddie Vedder, one of the most beautiful men on the planet.
Look at this video. Look at this. It looks like you're about to be like, I have Dylan Burns hostage.
Is that the first video? I can't see. Is that the first video or the second video?
This is the first video.
The second video. Show your audience the second video with that gorgeous palm tree and that beautiful green sky.
Let's look at the second video then. Okay, the second video, and this is even more interesting because it starts and it's bright outside. And by the end of it, it looks even worse than the first video.
I think it looks beautiful.
Because it's been so long that it's dark outside, and the lighting now makes it look like you've gained a follower.
We filmed 2 clips, and then as the sun sets, and then when it gets dark, we turn flashlights on, and then I put a filter on it. My goal is to be.
It looks like you're rebuilding the Manson family.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I think we look hot, but I don't know. Agree to disagree on that.
I appreciate you producing the emote that we use in our community.
Where is that? Is that on Twitch?
Yeah, it's on Twitch. It's in our chat. It's being spammed right now. Yeah.
Oh, dude, he's gonna be thrilled to hear that. You're gonna make his day.
We just like the thing is about the angle of how his lighting. Okay, so it's dark. And the only thing that's bright because you're using the light on him is his neck.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like he has no neck because it's so bright, so we see no details.
Yeah.
So his chin disappears, and so it's like he has a massive neck, but you can't see his eyes, so it just looks like massive black holes in his eyes. So
that looks. You don't think that looks dope? I don't. Listen. Every Twitch streamer looks exactly the same. Like they're in a room. They got their books in the background. They got their mic. I don't know. Plus.
So your goal was to just
to do it as cheaply as this.
Chop me up and put me in a freezer,
dude. This show is DIY, just like my sex life. So that's all I'm saying.
Wonderful.
No one's gonna chop you up, dude. I'm gonna drive to fucking Maryland. I just explain. I don't even know what city you live in. Apparently, to chop you up. Come on. I don't even want to roast you anymore. I gotta find new people to pick on now.
Well, when I heard Dylan Burns roast, I thought it was gonna.
It was mostly the joke.
I thought people thought I was gonna be on an open fire.
No, when you did the roast part was the Pearl Jam thing because for some reason that just made when you said that just made me laugh, and I don't know why that made me laugh, but it was just so funny.
You're just old.
I guess
just so. Old, that's all.
I guess so, man. But I age like wine.
I'm gonna age like milk.
All right. Well, then, voter suppression bad, right?
Well, of course. I stand against all the voter suppression laws that are being passed right now.
Would you say voter suppression is the same thing as stealing?
That's difficult because if you have pre-established rules beforehand and you follow those pre-established rules, even if those rules are wrong, calling that the same thing as stealing an election, I think waters down the word stealing.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have an actual situation where, look at Myanmar, where you look at actual ballot stuffing in Belarus,
mm-hmm.
I don't want to morally equate what Lukashenko did to voter restriction laws, even if they're both wrongs against democracy.
Well, my big problem now is that lawsuit that the NAACP did against the state of Florida over that 2000 election was based on the Voting Rights Act, and they don't really have, and we don't have the Voting Rights Act anymore. So I don't even know if people can sue anymore if they lose the right to vote or the opportunity to vote because they have the right to vote, but they just don't. I don't know. So, but anyways, I guess everything is semantics, right? Ugh.
I mean, it seems like we're mostly chill. If you're rolling back the tweets and you understand what I'm saying about the Vosh's conspiracy theorist video.
Yeah. That's cool.
Okay. Yep. Sounds good to me then. You can make your on your third video. I need a rusty chain and with a hook on it in the background. Can you do that for me?
No, I think the serial killer's a little obvious, man. Just, every time somebody's got a shaved head, they got to be a serial killer.
Well, it's not that you have a shaved head; it's the lighting.
Lighting is awesome.
Like
dude.
Stephen Molyneux doesn't look like a serial killer,
You were
right? Just
like,
because he has
dude.
a shaved head.
Dude, what's with this thing? Like, I can control the shadows. Like you thought.
Oh no, actually you can. If you have proper lighting, you can control the shadows.
But you were like, he's ducking in the shadows. Like, I don't have that much self control over this situation, man. You know? I literally used the lighting I used is the movie, the cartoon, the animated film Heavy Metal, and I play it on my face and then I record. And then the rest is just natural lighting.
You want to know what? I know that movie. My uncle showed it to me when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, my stepdad played Frank Zappa for me, so.
Well, there you go.
Don't eat the yellow snow.
Okay. Well, it seems that we've resolved everything then.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna let you go then.
All right, man. It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
All right, take it easy.